Even Martinez grew up in a quiet Oyo suburb, where American flags fluttered from porches and church bells rang on Sundays. His parents, Rosa and Neil, were first-generation Mexican-Americans who worked tirelessly to give their 2 children, Ivan and his younger sister Lily, a chance at the so-called American dream. From the outside, Ivan was the model son. At 17, he was an honor roll student, a varsity swimmer, and a dependable babysitter for neighborhood kids. But inside, his world was split in 2. At school and with his closest friends, Ivan was out as gay. He even had a boyfriend, Marcus, a soft-spoken musician who played guitar in a garage band. But at home, he kept silent. His father's often comments still echoed in his head. Those people just need guidance. Is not natural. His mother was gentler, but rooted in Catholic faith and tradition. Ivan could not risk telling them. Not yet. So he lived 2 lives, one full of honesty and love, the other full of fear and silence. He learned to change shirts in the car, trading the vintage band T. Marcus loved for a plain hoodie his father would not question. He scrolled through queer forums late at night with the brightness turned down. One ear tuned for footsteps in the hall. He became fluent in half-truths. Practice for swim. Group project. Extra tutoring. He hated, but he was good at it. The suburb offered its own choreography, and even knew the steps by heart. Hey, Donnelly walking his beagle. Help, miss? Park carry groceries. Smile at Father McGill after Mass. Never mention the rainbow wristband tucked in the glove compartment. On a humid Friday in June, Columbus held its Pride Festival, a kaleidoscope of color just an hour from home. Even Marcus went with friends, and for one electric afternoon, even felt air filling a part of his lungs he had forgotten how to use. They danced near a float blasting pop music. They kissed in a side street where sunlight splashed like paint across the asphalt. Someone snapped a picture of them, arms wrapped around each other under a canopy of flags. It was joyful. It was dangerous. Secrets rarely stay buried. One summer night, while scrolling through Instagram, Lily stumbled on that photo. Her heart kicked up into her throat. She adored her brother, her reliable chaffier and midnight pancake partner. But this truth felt like stepping into a cold lake without warning. She tapped the picture open. She looked from Evans's smile to Marcus' dimple and back again. She closed the app. She reopened it. She locked her phone and stared at the ceiling. The next morning, during breakfast, their father railed at the television about those trans kids on the news. Lily's words slipped out before she could call them back. Dad, what if someone in this family was like that? The room snapped silent. Rosa looked sharply at her daughter. Daniel frowned as if measuring the weight of the question. Eva's fork froze midway to his mouth. Silence expanded like a balloon. Lily felt heat in her ears. I just mean, she said. Backpedaling. It is not our business to judge. Daniel's gaze cut to Evan, then back to Lily. Not under my roof, he said finally. Rosa's voice was softer. Eat your eggs. But the air had shifted. The conversation ended, but nothing was the same. That night, Evan knocked on Lily's door. She sat cross-legged on the floor, painting her nails a defiant shade of electric blue. You saw the photo, he said. She nodded. I was not snooping, she said. It just showed up. It is, he said. True? Is he your boyfriend? Lily asked. Evan exhaled. A laugh caught in the middle. Yeah, he said. He is. I am not, she said. I am just scared. For you. Me too, Evan said. They sat a while, the smell of nail polish finding its way into the hallway. Lily's voice was small when she spoke again. I want to tell, she said. Not unless you want me to. Thanks, Evan said. He left her room feeling both lighter and heavier. With Lily? The secret had a witness who loved him. At dinner 2 nights later, the topic returned on its own, drawn like iron filings to a magnet. Daniel talked about a coworker whose child was, as he put it, confused. He shook his head as if the world itself were wobbling off its axis. Rosa cleared dishes. Lily stared at the salt shaker. Even felt the familiar clench in his chest. He looked at his father and thought about Marcus' hand finding his in the Pride crowd. The small courage of a squeeze in the open sun. He knew he could not carry the lie across another year. Another holiday. Another Sunday sermon. He set his fork down. Dad, he said. His voice trembled, but he did not let it break. I need to tell you something. Daniel's eyes narrowed. Worry. What? He said. Hey. Even said? He felt his heartbeat in his teeth. And I'm not ashamed. The word gay hung in the air like a bell after the strike. Daniel stood. Rosa's dish towel stilled. Lily's breath went out in a whisper. Daniel paced the living room as if his anger needed room to move. No son of mine is going to live like that, he said. We did not sacrifice everything for you to throw your life away. Rosa found her voice. He is still our son, she said. Daniel? Daniel's face hardened. Not if he keeps this up, he said. Evan's vision tunneled. He swallowed. This is not a phase, he said. Ew. Daniel's jaw worked. Under roof? We have rules, he said. This is not one of them. He left the room, the door to the garage slamming like a gavel. Rosa stood in the doorway, torn between rooms. Between worlds. Lily reached across the table and took Evan's hand. He did not pull away. The next days carved deep lines through the family. Daniel avoided Evan, leaving early for work. Lingering late. Eating in front of the television with the sound turned up. Rosa tried to bridge the gap, cooking Evan's favorite meals, lingering at his bedroom door with questions that ended in ellipses. Lily was steel in a small frame. If Dad can accept you, that is his problem, she said. Not yours. At school. Evan felt a counterweight. He leaned into the sanctuary of friends who loved him. Late-night drives with music too loud for fear to speak over. Laughter that rolled like marbles across a wooden floor. Marcus' garage smelled like sawdust in old summers. When Evan showed up, Marcus pressed a ginger ale into his palm and said nothing until Evan was ready to talk. They sat on the workbench. Calves swinging, the guitar leaning against Marcus' knee like a quiet animal. I told him. Evan said. The relief and the ache braided together. How bad? Marcus asked. Evan shrugged. Bad enough? He said. He did not throw me out. Yet. Marcus nodded. He said. I am proud of you. The word proud loosened a knot behind Evan's ribs. In November, Marcus invited Evan to Thanksgiving dinner. His parents lived on the other side of town in a narrow blue house with a maple tree that flamed out in the yard like a bonfire. Marcus' mom hugged Evan at the door. She smelled like nutmeg and dish soap. His dad ribbed him about the swim team and asked if he could still do a butterfly stroke after eating 3 helpings of stuffing. They went around the table saying what they were thankful for. When it was Evan's turn, he looked at the faces turned toward him, open, unafraid. I am thankful for people who let me be myself, he said. After dessert, Marcus kissed him in the kitchen while the dishwasher hummed its domestic song. For the first time, Evan understood the weight of an ordinary kindness. Returning home that night, he found Daniel waiting in the living room, the lamp casting a hard pool of light over the recliner. Were you with that boy again? Daniel asked. His voice was quiet, which was worse than shouting. Evan was tired of burying himself inside his own life. He said. The argument erupted like a long dormant volcano. Shouts. Tears. Slammed door. Then Daniel's ultimatum, delivered like a verdict. If you keep choosing this life, you can stay under my roof. Rosa sat alone that night, a small island prayer in a churning sea. She held her rosary and counted out her fear. She thought of Daniel in construction boots at dawn, even in floaties at the public pool, of Lily in braids on the first day of school. She thought of the church's candles and the softness of her son's cheek when he was a baby. In the quiet blue hour before morning, she knocked on Evan's door. Mitchell, she whispered. Sit up. Eyes puffy. I do not understand everything, she said, but I know I love you. And nothing will change that. She pressed an envelope into his hands. Inside was cash she had been squirreling away for years in a coffee tin behind the flour. If things get bad, you will have somewhere to go, she said. It is not a solution. It is a bridge. Evan nodded, tears striking hot down his face. Thank you, he said. Rosa brushed his hair back like he was small again. Sleep, she said. We will talk tomorrow. By Christmas, the truce could no longer hold its shape. Rosa insisted on a family meeting. They sat in the living room, the tree blinking in polite intervals, the air thick with pine and unsaid things. Even went first. He spoke about truth. About love. About the exhausting weight of hiding. He told them about Marcus. About the way a hand in daylight can feel like a bell rung in the bones. He spoke about college applications to schools where he could breathe all the way to the bottom of his lungs. Lily went next. She was fire contained in glass. She told their father that love is not a conditional tense. She reminded him who taught her to ride a bike and who caught her when she fell. She said that person would not kick his son out for being who he is. Rosa pleaded for peace, her voice trembling but steady, the steady part built from years of gathering children and groceries and courage. Daniel listened. He did not speak for a long time. Finally, he said, "Maybe I do not understand. Maybe I never will. But you are my son. I want to kick you out. Not now. Don't expect me to celebrate this. It was not acceptance. But it was not the door at midnight either. It was a fragile bridge laid across a chasm, creaking but holding. Even slept that night with the envelope still in his desk. The coffee tin money turned into a talisman. He dreamed of water and wakefulness, of shores he had not yet reached. In the weeks that followed, the house reorganized around its new gravity. Daniel learned to practice silence. He asked about grades and practice times. He did not ask about the person waiting in a car outside on Friday nights. Rosa became bolder in small ways. She left a pamphlet from Flag Tuk-Tuk between cookbooks. She asked even if he and Marcus wanted to help with the church food drive. And when even hesitated, she said, "We will go where we are welcomed." Lily started a gay straight alliance at school with a science teacher who wore rainbow socks under sensible shoes. Even lived in the scene between relief and vigilance. He drove to Columbus on Saturdays with Marcus to walk through bookstores and drink overpriced coffee. He filled out applications to colleges in cities with subways and bookstores and people who kissed on sidewalks without scanning first for danger. He wrote one essay about water, about learning to breathe to the side, about the way swimmers look straight down at the line that guides them while everything blurs around it. He did not write about the envelope, but he felt it under every word. The years ahead unfolded unevenly. Daniel never fully embraced even sexuality, but his anger softened into wary resignation. He stopped shouting. He stopped slamming doors. Instead, he became a man of long silences and clipped sentences, as though speaking too much might betray something he was unwilling to admit. Rosa, meanwhile, became more outspoken. She began attending flag meetings in secret, slipping out on Tuesday nights with an excuse about grocery shopping. She learned the language of allies, words that had once felt foreign in her mouth. She came home with pamphlets and stories about other families, about mothers who had found courage after heartbreak. Sometimes she left articles folded into the Sunday newspaper, headlines about marriage equality or trans athletes, as if the paper itself had brought them. Lily grew into a fierce advocate, her voice sharpened by witnessing both her brother's pain and his courage. In high school, she challenged teachers who used slurs. In college, she organized campus events for LGBTQ+ rights, holding a megaphone with hands that once trembled in the shadow of her father's rage. She said often that she had learned what bravery looked like by watching Ivan. Even left for college in New York. The city unfolded before him like a new dictionary, each block a fresh word for freedom. There, he lived openly. No more switching shirts in parking lots. No more whispers on late-night calls. He kissed boyfriends on sidewalks without looking over his shoulder. He studied music, his true love, and filled small apartments with the sound of chords and laughter. He and Marcus broke up after the first year, but the end was gentle, more a turning of seasons than a storm. They remained friends, bound by the memory of those early, fragile days. In New York, even found new love, new communities, and built a life where his truth was not a secret but a source of pride. And yet, Io tugged at him. Every visit home was a test of balance. Daniel would ask about grades, about rent, about jobs. He would not ask about boyfriends. Rosa, more courageous now, would slip in questions like, "Is he kind to you?" Her eyes darting toward her husband and back. Lily, blunter, would ask openly across the dinner table, "Are you seeing anyone?" Daniel would grunt into his potatoes. The fragile truce held, but just barely. Even learned to navigate it the way swimmers learn to breathe to the side quickly. Carefully, always scanning the surface for air. 10 years after that first shattering dinner table confession, Even returned to Io for a family barbecue. He came with Aaron, a tall, kind-hearted man with laughter that filled a room and patience that had weathered years of Evan's cautiousness. The backyard smelled of charcoal and sweet corn. Children chased each other under the maple tree. Rosa stood at the grill, her hair streaked with silver now, calling for someone to bring more lemonade. Daniel sat in a lawn chair, older, quieter, his hands spotted from years of labor. When Evan introduced Aaron, Daniel stood. For a moment, the years collapsed, the shouting, the silence, the ultimatum. Then Daniel extended his hand. Aaron took it. The grip lingered a second longer than expected. Daniel did not smile, but he did not pull away. It was not full acceptance. It was not a parade, toast, or a blessing, but it was something. A step. Even caught his mother's eyes across the yard. She was smiling, faintly. She, too, understood that sometimes steps are enough. Later that evening, after the dishes were washed and the children had gone home, the family sat on the porch. The cicadas sang their endless summer song. Aaron excused himself to take a phone call, leaving Evan with his parents and sister. The silence stretched, heavy but not unbearable. Daniel cleared his throat. I do not know how to say these things, he began. His voice was rough, the same voice that had once broken walls with shouting, but I am trying. Evan held his breath. Daniel looked at the horizon instead of his son. I thought being a man meant protecting the family from things I did not understand, he said. I see now that maybe I was protecting the wrong things. Rosa reached for his hand. Her eyes glistened. Lily leaned forward, her fire softened by hope. Evan spoke, his voice steadier than he felt. I never wanted to fight you, he said. I just wanted to be me. Daniel finally looked at him. His eyes were tired. I do not know if I will ever understand everything, he admitted, but I did not want to lose you. The words were imperfect, but they were real. Evan felt something loosen in his chest, a knot untied after years of pulling. Aaron returned, slipping quietly into the circle. Evan reached for his hand without hesitation. Daniel saw? He did not turn away. The years that followed were still uneven. There were awkward holidays, missed words, misunderstandings that pricked like thorns. But there were also graduations, birthdays, weddings, and laughter shared over burnt hamburgers on summer nights. Each year, the silence grew shorter. Each year, the words came a little easier. Rosa became a proud advocate in the church community, speaking softly but firmly when others gossiped. Lily built a career in social work, specializing in Lubby plus youth, carrying her brother's story like a torch into every room. Even married Aaron under a canopy of lights in a Brooklyn garden. Rosa cried openly, clutching Lily's arm. Daniel sat in the front row, stiff in his suit, but when the vows ended and the applause rose, he stood and hugged his son. For the first time, he whispered, I am proud of you. Years later, Evan told the story to a group of college students at an LGBTQ+ panel. He told them about secrets and fear, about anger and silence, about small steps that build bridges. He told them about the night his mother pressed an envelope of coffee tin money into his hand, and how that act of quiet love saved him. He told them that families can break, but they can also bend. That love is not always loud, but sometimes it survives anyway. The students clapped. Some cried. One young man raised his hand and asked, was it worth it? Evan smiled, thinking of Marcus's garage, of Lily's electric blue nails, of Aaron's hand in his, of his father's reluctant but lingering handshake. He said. It was worth it. The double life of Evan Martinez became, at last, single life. Not perfect, not without scars, but whole? And sometimes, whole is the bravest thing a person can be.